doing, everybody? Hello. That's not the screen that I wanted. There's the screen that I wanted. And my, oh my, it is a happy day. It is a happy day for Red Sox fans across the land. I already went live with this earlier. I already broke everything down as much as I can. So I'm not going to dive too much into it. I'll spare you talking all the Red Sox stuff. But in case you are living under a rock, in case you are just, I don't know, waking up. I mean, it's 9 p.m. I don't know. Maybe some of you sleep all day and wake up at night. But the Red Sox got Garrett Crochet. Heading back to the White Sox, we got Kyle Teal, Brady Montgomery, Chase Mageroff, and Wickham and Gonzalez. Anyone out there that says this was a wow, my brain is going blank. This was a fleece on each side or whatever it may be. No, it wasn't. This was a very fair trade, very down the middle, both sides getting exactly what they need. The Red Sox getting a top of the rotation caliber guy in Garrett Crochet, who I think is going to take even a step further next year. And the White Sox get a very solid package of prospects. I'm still surprised they got Kyle Teal. It's going to be interesting to see what the Red Sox do at the catcher position moving forward. They did add a catcher here tonight from the Yankees, but no, not Austin Wells, by the way, not Austin Wells. But it's going to be interesting, right? You know, Kyle Teal, this is a guy that I was really high on. I was excited about him. Kind of gave me Jason Varitek vibes a little bit. A guy that's just very big on the work ethic. He pays attention to the detail. He's a good hitter. Really excited to see what Kyle Teal can do for the White Sox moving forward. Brady Montgomery, there is a lot of projection with him. This guy was just a monster in college. Unfortunately, he broke his ankle in the College World Series, but this is a guy that could end up being a middle-of-the-order bat for the White Sox. I think that's a fantastic get. You know, the only problem with Montgomery, there's not really a whole lot of track record right now, obviously. He hasn't even played in the minor leagues, and he had the injury, of course. Chase Mageroff, I think, is absolutely fantastic. That's a great get for the White Sox. A guy that doesn't really have a home necessarily position-wise, but a guy that is going to get on base. He is going to be a fiend at the plate. He is going to just give pitchers a lot of problems. He's a very tough at bat. He's going to draw a lot of walks. I think he's going to be a guy that White Sox fans really like down the road. And Wickham and Gonzalez, a guy that could end up, he's got good stuff, good velo. White Sox have done well with pitching in the organization. I think that'll be a better home for him. I don't know. He just hasn't really figured it out with the Red Sox. So let's see a change of scenery. But again, overall, it was a great trade. Very down the middle. Both sides getting exactly what they need here. But that's all I got on that. But what is next for the Red Sox? What is next? Well, Ken Rosenthal put out an article about an hour ago, kind of going through some things with the Red Sox here and kind of breaking a few things down. Now, he talks about Corbin Burnes, right? Corbin Burnes, this is the hot name right now on the market. Now, especially now that Garrett Crochet is off, all eyes are going to be on Corbin Burnes. He says here, Corbin Burnes likely will command a deal of more than $200 million, likely moving beyond John Henry's comfort level. Now, you got to remember, I feel like I've said this so much until I'm blue in the face, right? John Henry not usually has signed off on big pitching contracts, right? He did it for David Price. That was a reaction move to John Lester. He signed off on the Chris Sale extension. He signed off on John Lackey back in 2010. That was a 5-year deal. But other than that, not really a whole lot. So, I mean, with those instances, you had a little bit of urgency at the time. Chris Sale, maybe not so much, but really they didn't have a lot of pitching within the organization, so I can understand why they were okay with giving him the extension. In the end, it didn't work out for the Red Sox. But David Price, you had to because of John Lester leaving town. John Lackey, you did need another guy in the rotation at that point, but he wasn't like a mammoth contract. He was a 5-year deal. It got some pretty decent money, but that one didn't really work out all that much. So will the Red Sox... Is the urgency enough for the Red Sox to go after Corbin Burnes? I would probably lean towards no at this point. I think it's a better bet that Corbin Burnes is going to end up with the Giants, honestly. He's from the Bay Area. The Giants, I think they're frothing at the mouth at the idea of Corbin Burnes and Logan Webb at the top of the rotation. These two guys have been at the top when it comes to innings pitched over the last couple of years. That is a dynamite 1-2 punch. That would be awesome if they could do that. And that would be a great pivot after losing Blake Snell to the Dodgers. I mean, that would be a huge counter move from for the San Francisco Giants. If not, I could maybe see the Blue Jays throwing a ton of money at him. At the end of the day, money talks, right? We'll see if the Blue Jays, they're having a tough time luring the free agents at this point. But if they throw some stupid money at Burns, maybe. I mean, that would be a really good 1-2 punch as well. Burns and Gausman there. But, things are looking a little uncertain for the Blue Jays moving forward. They do have some young talent that they could turn to, but impact players, someone like Vlad, who could be leaving town, maybe they could work out an extension. I could see that. We'll see. But Corbin Burns, he is the hot commodity right now. But for the Red Sox, I think they should go out there. I think this is the time for urgency right now for the Red Sox to go get something done. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening here, but I think it's going to get really interesting with Corbin Burns. Rosenthal also mentions guys like Sean Manaea, Jack Flaherty, Nick Pivetta. And we had a little something on Luis, or maybe not Luis Castillo exactly, but John Morosi put out a tweet a little earlier, right around 5:20 Eastern time. The Red Sox are working to acquire one of the Mariners' starting pitchers. This was interesting. Now, right off the bat, I'm thinking, oh, well, hold on a second. The Mariners have been saying for about 120 years that they don't want to give up any of the guys in the rotation, which I can understand, right? Young starting pitching, a homegrown rotation like that. I mean, I wouldn't want to break that up either. So I started thinking, well, I don't know, George Kirby, why would they trade him right now? Probably not Logan Gilbert. I feel like those guys are going to stay in town. Could it be maybe Bryce Miller? Could it be Brian Wu? Maybe, but I don't know. But then my mind was directed right towards Luis Castillo. I'm thinking, okay, Luis Castillo, it's a guy that is getting paid a pretty penny, over $20 million per year. He's got 3 more years left on the deal. I was thinking to myself, well, maybe you could do something for Luis Castillo. Now, I saw a lot of people out there saying Tristan Casas for Luis Castillo. No, the only way I could see that working, well, first off, you're selling low on Casas, so is that really the best idea for the Red Sox at this point? Not quite sure. But the only way really you can make it work as of right now is if the Mariners paid down a lot of the contract. And I would think for the Mariners' point of view, they're trying to get out from the contract. Maybe pay a little bit, but, maybe pay a couple million per season or something like that, a few million per season. But you're going to have to pay a lot of it to make up for the value to match up with Tristan Casas. So I just feel like that's not going to work. And then it got put out there. Was it Alex Spear who put it out there? I can't remember exactly, but he said he had spoken to someone, asked if there was any legs to a possible Tristan Casas, Luis Castillo deal. And his source just said no. So yeah, I kind of didn't buy that from the very beginning. So for the Mariners, look out here. Could someone like Luis Castillo maybe be on the move? We'll see here. Then also, he didn't mention Walker Buehler. I wonder if Walker Buehler could be an option. There were some cryptic tweets being put out yesterday, including from Rob Bradford. We'll see. I could see the Red Sox looking at something like that, like a buy low, high reward kind of a guy. He did pitch well in the postseason. I could see something like that, maybe. I'll be honest with you. I actually wonder here if maybe the Red Sox could look to someone like Sean Manaea. I think Sean Manaea is a really intriguing guy, right? He did some things this past year that are very similar of the Red Sox, right? He got away from the fastball. He went more with the sinker. He was working in the off speed and the breaking pitches more. He kind of adjusted the mechanics a little bit. I wonder with Sean Manaea, this is a guy that he's probably going to end up getting like a 4-year deal, something like the $18 to $20 million range, maybe even a little higher than that. I could see the Red Sox maybe taking a bite on that. Could they maybe do something like Jack Flaherty? The only thing I pause with Jack Flaherty because of the injury history. But, he did show some good stuff this past year. I could see Craig Breslow maybe taking a look at that and being intrigued with that. But to me, though, I think this is the moment for the Red Sox to really go after Corbin Burns. I know this might be wishful thinking, but we'll see. I think for the Red Sox, in the end, though, it was a great move for them. But I think they do need to do a little bit more. But in the end, I do think the trade was a win-win for both sides. For the White Sox, White Sox fans, you should be very happy about this trade. Very happy. Moving on here. Let's get away from my Red Sox. You're tired of hearing about my Red Sox. Now, Kyle Tucker. Let's talk about King Tuck. John Heyman putting out there today. Well, he put out a tweet first off. The Astros want rookie. Well, before I dive into that, right? Well, Kyle Tucker is on the rumor mill, everybody. Kyle Tucker is on the rumor mill. Why? Well, the Astros, you got to think. I did a video on Kyle Tucker trades. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. Funny enough, an idea that I talked about in that video has kind of come to light here a little bit today. So go check out that video. Maybe I got lucky, but I talked about an idea with the Cubs possibly. And John Heyman, he tweeted out a little earlier today saying the Astros, for the Yankees, the Astros want Rookie of the Year Luis Gil in a package. The discussion with the Cubs involves Sai Suzuki and Isaac Paredes. I literally talked about those two guys. I even mentioned Cody Bellinger in that idea, but with Bellinger, you got to you're gonna have to pay down some of the contract. Eddie says Heyman confirmed Robbie Hyde's stand. Well, I only got one thing to say to that.
I can't even believe it.
Thank you,
I
John.
can't even believe it.
Can't even believe it. But moving on. He says here, in addition to Sai Suzuki and Isaac Paredes, the Astros would like the Cubs to include one of their two most recent number one draft picks, Cam Smith or Matt Shaw. I cannot see the Cubs giving up Matt Shaw. I'm a big Matt Shaw stan. I love Matt Shaw. I think that guy is off the charts. I think he's phenomenal. I wanted the Red Sox to draft him, and the Cubs, they nabbed him. They got him. Well, we got Kyle Teal, so that was okay. But, for the Cubs, I think it makes a lot of sense to go after someone like Kyle Tucker. They're trying to rework this roster, and I think they line up perfectly in a deal for Kyle Tucker here. They got guys where they lack the flexibility, but they're good players, and that sound, you might be thinking, Robbie, what are you talking about? What's the problem if they're good players? Well, you always want to have a little bit of flexibility, right? Being able to, work some different adjustments in, if you want to adjust the lineup on different days, maybe bringing in, make upgrades, right? Contracts are maybe a little too hard to get out of is what I mean, right? Good players, but maybe not the best possible player that you could get for the position. Like Cody Bellinger, for example, right? They're going to have a hard time moving him, but if they can, they could definitely make an upgrade. Cody Bellinger, the numbers took a bit of a dip this past year. Kyle Tucker would be a huge upgrade over Cody Bellinger, right? Sai Suzuki, on the other hand, right? If you did move him, you could get yourself a little bit of flexibility there, right? If you wanted to, let's say you move Sai Suzuki in a deal for Kyle Tucker. Kyle Tucker, he could either just go DH, right? Or you can put him out in right. You could put Cody Bellinger at DH, whatever it may be. You're making an upgrade with Kyle Tucker nonetheless, whether he replaces Bellinger or Suzuki. Or another idea would be Isaac Paredes, right? With Isaac Paredes, you could move him to the Astros. If they don't bring back Alex Bregman, there's a perfect replacement right there. He's under control. And Isaac Paredes would actually, I think, be a great idea for the Astros because when it comes to Isaac, he doesn't have a whole lot of exit velocity. Believe it or not, right? He's hit for a lot of homers over the last couple of years. But when you take a look at the advanced metrics, not very strong when it comes to the exit velocity, but I think that would work well at Minute Maid Park, right? Short porch and left. I think you would see good production from Paredes there half a season. So if you were to bring in Tucker, send back Paredes there, now you could open up something at third base, move some guys around. You could put Tucker out and right. Bellinger, maybe you could put at first. And then Michael Busch, maybe you could put him at third or whatever it may be. Gives you a little more flexibility there, right? And, and you make an upgrade at the same time. Now, when it comes to a possible trade, now you could do a lot of different things, right? The Cubs, I think they're pretty underrated when it comes to the prospects that they have. So let's say you do Isaac Paredes, right? Already right there, that makes up a ton of value right there. A ton of value. And, throw in a couple more pieces, you might be able to get something done here. But, getting back to this tweet, I don't think you're going to be able to get Matt Shaw or Cam Smith in this deal. That sounds a little, no. You're probably not doing that. You could probably maybe attach maybe a couple lower guys in the top 30, maybe even a couple of guys in the top 15. But you're not going to be getting one of those guys, I would imagine. Now, if you did Saya Suzuki, let's put Suzuki in here, right? With Saya, he is owed a little bit of money over the next couple of years, but he's a guy that could definitely give you some pop in that lineup, right? He had a good year with the bat this past year. He would be a nice get for the Astros, right? Now, if you did Sai Suzuki, well, then, yeah, I could see the situation now where maybe you could include someone like Matt Shaw, right? Because Suzuki, because of the money that he's making, and he's mostly been DHing, especially in the second half of the year. But again, I don't think the Cubs would part with Matt Shaw. I'm just putting him there. So maybe the Cubs, I don't know. I don't think they would eat the money on the contract with Suzuki. But either way, there's flexibility here for the Cubs to get something done. But I'll be honest with you. I really would look out for the Yankees when it comes to Kyle Tucker, right? With Kyle Tucker, there was another report today that with Kyle Tucker, it is expected that he would like to test free agency, especially after seeing what happened with Juan Soto. A part of me wonders if maybe he could be, I don't know, maybe he could have a change of heart with it. He's not with Scott Boras. The Scott Boras guys, they usually like to get to free agency, or he usually likes to get them to free agency. But I wonder, I believe with Tucker, I believe he's with Excel. He's with Excel or CAA. I always forget which one he's with. But those agencies tend to be a little bit more friendly when it comes to the extensions, right? But I think the Yankees would be a great fit. You'd be making big trades back-to-back off seasons. Juan Soto last year, Kyle Tucker this offseason. But I really think with the Yankees, you could do a lot of things here. If we were to put together a package for the Bronx Bombers, taking a look here. One idea that I had yesterday was doing Clark Schmidt. I even thought of Luis Gil, right? So if the Yankees or if the Astros want Luis Gil, you could definitely make that happen, right? You do Luis Gil. You're losing, but you just brought in Max Fried. So that gives you a little flexibility to play with there. I wouldn't doubt Luis Gil. I just thought of a tweet that I saw earlier from Johnny Lasagna. He put out a tweet saying he would drive Luis Gil to the airport himself. And he put the video of that viral video lately of the guy just driving through the dealership, the front doors or whatever. That was him dropping off Luis Gil to the airport. That gave me a good chuckle today. I can't lie about that. But I don't know, man. Kyle Tucker, that would be a great replacement for Juan Soto. Who better than Kyle Tucker? Of course, he would like to get the extension worked out. What do we got here? John Heyman, Bellinger leads a star-studded list of Yankees possibilities. So we'll see. But yeah, Luis Gil. If not Luis Gil, maybe you could do Clark Schmidt. Throw in maybe, I don't know. You got some other guys here that he makes up a lot of value right there. Toss in a couple other guys. Maybe you could do someone like Oswald Carrabba. I guess I want Carrabba's now. Oswaldo Cabrera. That's a guy, a utility player that has a lot of control. He could be valuable to the Astros. He could be a possible, he could maybe slide into third base, possibly, or he could do Oswald Peraza. They got guys here. The Yankees, they have enough of a main piece to get something done and throw in some other guys to make a deal work. We'll see. We'll see on that. But I really do think look out for the Yankees and the Cubs. I think those two teams seem to make the most sense. I think with the Phillies, I would like the Phillies to get something done. Problem is you got Nick Castellanos. They need to figure out a way to get rid of Nick Castellanos. Listen, I get it. Seems like a good dude, right? Good ball player to have in your club. But I don't know, man. The defense out there, it's not good. Kyle Tucker, he's not great defensively either. But the bat would be so much of an upgrade. I would love the idea of Kyle Tucker with the Phillies. We'll see. But I think right now I would lean towards the Cubs and the Yankees getting something done unless a surprise team comes out of nowhere. Always watch out for AJ Preller. I feel like that's a guy that you're not thinking of him, and then all of a sudden he just pops out of the abyss and then he just makes a trade. But moving on. Speaking of the Astros, How about Alex Bregman? What's going on with Alex Bregman here? Well, Mark Feinsand, he put out a little earlier today, right around 3:30 Eastern time. There's a sense that Alex Bregman could be the next big free agent to sign. The Astros, Red Sox, Yankees, Tigers are among those in the mix. Now, I will share a little detail that I got from a little birdie today. It's a little birdie time, everyone. A little birdie time. But I was told, be prepared to be surprised with something with Alex Bregman. That's all he got. That's the only detail he got that he was able to tell me. Don't be ready to be surprised with something with Alex Bregman. I don't know if that means a team. I don't know if that means a contract. I don't know. I don't know what that means, right? My first guess was like, okay, maybe the Tigers. Or maybe he gets a big contract, right? A big contract that we kind of weren't expecting. Right? Yeah, I agree with you, Arthas. I agree with you. The Yankees as well, right? Yankees, I mean, also, man overboard, that's a good idea too. Now that you're bringing that up, maybe the Dodgers could come into play. Could they maybe come into play, right? There have been talks about Nolan Arenado. You can move Max Muncy over to second. Maybe could the Dodgers be like some sleeper of a team for Alex Bregman at this point? The Nationals, I'm going to go to the news and notes in a little bit, but I think Gleyber Torres was a guy that they were eyeing for third base. Could the Nationals maybe come out of nowhere for Bregman? Probably not if they got their eyes on Gleyber Torres. Sounds like they're looking to go maybe a little cheaper at third base there. We'll talk about Christian Walker in just a little bit. But again, look out for the Astros. Again, that's what I was told. Be ready for some kind of a surprise. We'll see. For the Astros, I think it makes a lot of sense to bring him back. Obviously, fan favorite there. He's been solid for them over the years. They don't really have a ready replacement at this point. Keeping him in the fold, I think it makes some sense. We'll see. But hey, they've been letting these guys go in free agency. George Springer, Carlos Correa. Is Alex Bregman next? Is Kyle Tucker next for next year? Sounds like the Astros are really about to go into a rebuild. Am I the only one that's kind of seeing that right now? It feels like they're heading that way. I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. The Red Sox, they were a hot team a couple of days ago for him. There looked to be some strong rumblings about Bregman and the Red Sox. Cora was talking about how much he liked Bregman, thought he could be a really good up-the-middle player for them. But there's some divide in the front office. Front office is thinking, I don't know if we like Bregman. I think my thinking behind that with the front office, I don't think they dislike Bregman as a player. I think they probably just see someone like Nolan Arenado that's probably just a better get at not better as in a player, but just looking at the whole situation. When you look at the contract, when you look at he only has 3 more years left on the contract, you bring him into Fenway Park, his swing could work very similar to Bregman. They both have pull swings. Arenado has always hit pretty well at Fenway Park. I think Arenado would be a good fit there. You'd improve defense at third base. Rafi, he can go to DH, maybe first base if Casas ends up getting moved. I don't know. I think Arenado, that's what I wonder. That's what I speculate. If maybe the Red Sox look at Nolan Arenado, you're going to get maybe some similar production, maybe a little bit less that you can settle for, but it would cost a lot less and it would take a lot less years. That's kind of my thinking behind that. So, and the Tigers, right? I feel like we haven't heard anything about the Tigers for Alex Bregman. Coming into the offseason, that was a prediction that I made. I think that would be a great fit, right? Matching him back up with AJ Hinch. I feel like they need a veteran guy there. They got a lot of young players. We'll see. And Bregman, he has that versatility, so he can move around a little bit. You got Jace Young at third. There's some issues defensively. Maybe he could be a trade piece to help acquire something else. You got Colt Keith at second, so I'm not really sure how much Bregman could move around. We'll see. Rapid Transit. Robbie, do you see the Mets making a Hail Mary? Absolutely not for Verlander. No, I don't see the Mets going back to that. No way. Joe Mama, Robbie, you should do a stream with Red Seat Radio. Yeah, I want to link up with him soon. I do. I want to link up with him soon. But moving on here, Bregman, we could be seeing something soon tomorrow. I mean, we still got some time tonight. It's 9:30 Eastern time. Maybe we end up seeing something with Bregman tonight. Maybe tomorrow. Got one more day of the winter meetings tomorrow. We'll see. But keep your eyes on Mr. Alex Bregman. Now, let's get to, you know what? Actually, I'm going to save this for a little bit later. We'll talk about Nick Pivetta in a little bit. But we had a little something here on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Ladies and gentlemen, the Pittsburgh Pirates are in the news. They're in the news, right? And they're talking about maybe some guys that could be up for grabs. All right, who wrote this? This was Andrew Destin and Noah Hiles. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. But he says here, the Pirates have been vocal about their willingness to, let me zoom in for those of you. I'm blind, so if I can't see that, there's probably no way you can. The Pirates have been vocal about their willingness to trade pitching for offense. And sources indicate Ortiz was not the only member of last year's starting rotation available to be dealt. The Post-Gazette learned Monday the Pirates are open to the idea of trading Mitch Keller. A day later, a league source said Jared Jones was also very available. Well, that's interesting. No, Paul Skeens isn't going anywhere. You can bet your buns he's not going anywhere, right? But Jared Jones has been a name that's been kind of hovering around for a little while. I think there's a lot of teams that would love to go get Jared Jones, right? Mitch Keller, I feel like he's come up a couple of times too over the last year or so. Jared Jones, though, I mean, Mitch Keller, the numbers were still pretty much solid this year. This is a guy that's going to give you a lot of innings. He's on a pretty friendly contract for the most part, $15 million per year. I could see a lot of teams out there looking at someone like Mitch Keller. Jared Jones too, right? I mean, sorry to bring up my Red Sox, but they are looking to increase the ceiling over there. I could see them maybe taking a peek at someone like Jared Jones. They did connect on a trade at the deadline, bringing in Quinn Priester for Nick York. So maybe you could do something like that. Other teams that are looking to beef up the pitching here, could you maybe see, I don't know if they'd be a great trade partner if something doesn't work out with Corbin Burns. Maybe the Giants can maybe turn there, maybe look for something there. I don't know. The Reds probably not because they're in the division, so I don't really see that. Same with the Cubs, probably not. I don't know. I don't really see a team in this. Maybe the Tigers could make a play, possibly. I don't know. I think that could be pretty fun. I mean, in the AL East, of course, the Red Sox. I would look at the Orioles as well. I wonder if the Orioles could maybe make something happen there. They got a lot of position player prospects. Now he wouldn't be the ace necessarily, but you would have two young guys in Grayson Rodriguez and Jared Jones. I think that would be pretty fun if you ask me. You'd have Eflin, G-Rod, Jared Jones. I could maybe see something like that. I see you in the chat, Matt. Maybe the Mets. Maybe the Mets could pull something off there. They got some guys. I could see something like that. If we were to look at the Mets rotation as of right now, yeah, I think the Mets could definitely be a play. They got some position player prospects in there. I just wonder, David Stearns, is he going to want to empty the farm at this point? They didn't want to get a deal done for Garrett Crochet. Would they do something for Jared Jones? Not sure, but that could be pretty fun. Kind of looking at some other, the Orioles, they got position player prospects. They could deal. Could you maybe see the Phillies? Maybe Phillies. They got guys like Justin Crawford, like Aiden Miller. Maybe they would part with. I don't know. Maybe something like that. I think the Orioles kind of intrigue me. I feel like Jared Jones, the only way you're going to deal him is if they get a young, controllable guy. One option. I mean, I wonder if the Red Sox could be a play. I do. I wonder about that. The Pirates really need bats. And I know a lot of people out there are not going to like this. There's a lot of fans of Tristan Casas, but when I think about value, when I think about lining up values, I mean, I could see a Jared Jones, Tristan Casas conversation at least. I don't know if that would happen necessarily. I would love to keep Tristan Casas, but I could see that conversation happening. Jared Jones, Tristan Casas, maybe. But again, the Orioles, I wonder actually, if you're looking at a guy like Mitch Keller, I wonder if maybe the Orioles could look at someone like him, right? A guy that's got a little bit left on that contract. He's a pretty steady guy. I could see Mitch Keller being a nice fit for the Orioles here. Let's actually put together a deal. Here we go. Let's do Mitch Keller. And he's not going to be all that expensive, right? Right around $20 million in value. He's going to give you good production, got a pretty healthy salary for the most part, not going to break the bank. But, if you're looking at guys, could you maybe, if I'm thinking of the Pirates, if I'm looking at what they could use, if I'm looking at some spots here, Brian Reynolds has been, well, they did just bring in Spencer Horwitz. So I like Spencer Horwitz. I think that was a good pickup for them. We all thought Horwitz was going back to the Guardians, and then they ended up moving him over to Pittsburgh. But I think that was a good pickup for them. But it looks like Brian Reynolds, I would imagine he's going to be staying in the outfield at this point. Could you bring in another outfielder, right? You got Palacios out and right. Didn't do too much this past year. You could definitely make an upgrade at third base. Keep Brian Hayes. We all know he's got the glove, but right now, the bat, it has not been great. You could maybe you got Andy Rodriguez projected to be the DH, so there's some possible bats that could maybe come into play. I don't think you would need an outfielder at this point. I don't know if I'm thinking off the top of my head here. Let me go back. So, if you're looking for an outfielder, maybe for right field, well, yeah, if you're looking for an outfielder, Heston Kjerstad could make sense, right? Now that, if I'm sorry, I don't know. I went blank there for a second. I don't know. Could you do Mitch Keller for Heston Kjerstad? Straight up. I don't know. Heston Kjerstad, that sounds like a pirate if you ask me. I don't know why. Mitch Keller, I think, would be a good guy at the top of the rotation for the Orioles. Maybe you can just do a 1-for-1 swap. Orioles could use a little bit more pitching. Pirates could use a bat. Maybe. Something like that. I don't know. Jared Jones, like I said, with Jared Jones, you're going to be looking for a young, cost-controlled bat, right? So if I'll also mention Mitch Keller, maybe the Mets. You brought up the Mets a little bit earlier. Let's do that. So, man, look at that. Juan Soto, man. Oh, it's still kind of digesting, right? That Soto is actually a Met. That's crazy. But here we go. Mitch Keller. Let's put him. Wait, that's not the Pirates. Here's the Pirates. Here we go. Mitch Keller for the Mets. And the Mets, you got position player guys that you could send back, right? But, when it comes to guys that are major league ready, I don't know. There's not really any major league, Brett Beatty at this point. You can't really trust Brett Beatty at this point. That's more of a guy that you send to a team like the Marlins or like the White Sox at this point, teams that are far away. The Pirates are about to be competing. I think they'd rather just go with Brian Hayes. I saw a couple of you say no to the Heston Kjerstad Mitch Keller deal. Now that I think about it, I think Jared Jones could be a good pairing. If you did Jared Jones for like Heston Kjerstad, maybe another guy in there, I think that could be a possibility. I could see where you're coming from, Orioles. If you're giving up Heston Kjerstad, you probably want to get a more higher ceiling kind of a guy. Mitch Keller's more of a floor. So I see where you're coming from with that. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe the Mets could be an option for Mitch. If I'm thinking of some other teams, again, if the Giants, if they miss out on Corbin Burns, maybe they could turn to someone like Keller. The Blue Jays. I think the Blue Jays could make some sense for someone like Mitch Keller. Maybe. They just gave up Horwitz, though, so yeah, probably no. I don't know about that anymore. I don't know. Looking at some other ones. Teams could always use pitching, right? I'd have to think about it a little bit more, honestly. Kind of on the spot right now. I'd have to think about it a little bit more. But again, I think the Red Sox could be an option for Jared Jones, possibly. We'll see. But other news and notes here. But keep your eyes on the Pirates, ladies and gentlemen. Keep your eyes on the Pirates. Now, news and notes. Let's kind of go rapid fire here. Let's go a little rapid fire. Now, we had a little something on Nick Pivetta. The Reds checking in. Nick Pivetta's market is so interesting to me. I don't know what to think of where is he going to end. I feel like he could land really anywhere. He's just a guy that's going to be a good get for your rotation. the middle of the rotation. He's not going to be really expensive. He'll probably cost around, I would say 17, 18 million per year. Who knows with this market, maybe even a little bit more. I mean, who knows? We've seen some crazy stuff already this offseason. But the Reds, I think that is pretty interesting. It's so funny with the Reds because you felt like not too long ago they had just like a lot of pitching. And now, I mean, they did bring in Brady Singer. If you were to bring in Nick Pivetta, I mean, you got a pretty decent rotation there. And then someone like Nick Martinez can go to the bullpen. You know? I could see that. Cam 1672, you're saying he's a Ranger. I mean, I don't know. I read somewhere that the Rangers, they're probably looking to be kind of done with their rotation at this point. We'll see. I could see the Braves maybe making a play for Pivetta. Could the Angels come out of nowhere possibly and maybe get something done? I don't know. It seems like the Cubs could still be looking to do something. Could they maybe come out of nowhere? I mean, you got to think with Pivetta, he's got good stuff, good underlying metrics, gets a lot of swing and miss. So I think of a team like the Cubs, maybe that could be a possibility. You know, could he end up just going back to the Red Sox? I mean, I don't know. I mean, that was mentioned as a possibility. I mean, the Mets, I think the Mets could make some sense, right? If they didn't have the pieces to get a deal done for Keller, I think the Mets need one more guy in this rotation. You know, sure, you added Montas, Clay Holmes. I think that's fine. But I think you need a guy that you know you can count on. Montas has the injury history. Clay Holmes was literally a reliever. I think Nick Pivetta could make some sense for them. I think it could make some sense there, right? A guy that you know you can hand the ball to every fifth day. David Stearns, he likes the advanced metrics a lot. Even though Pivetta might not have the best surface numbers, I think it could be a good fit here with the Mets. We'll see. Getting to Christian Walker. Robert Murray. There are multiple teams, including the Washington Nationals, engaged with free agent first baseman Christian Walker. That was a popular landing spot, right? The Nationals looking to get back into a bit of a competitive window. I was thinking Pete Alonso for them. We'll see. You know, maybe they end up opening up the checkbook. That would be pretty expensive, but Christian Walker would be a cheaper alternative. I like the Nationals' idea. I think that's a good idea. Now, the Yankees had been in contact with Christian Walker. That was reported back in November. But Joel Sherman says here, the change of focus apparently happened pretty quickly. The Yankees, writes that the Yankees renewed contract discussions with Walker's camp on Sunday evening, which was the same time that the news broke of Soto's contract. Yeah, I think Christian Walker could make a lot of sense for the Yankees. You know, I've been kind of thinking with the Yanks when it comes to first base. I've just been wondering, are they going to want to maybe just go with that platoon? You know, if you bring in Christian Walker, I kind of wonder at this point, what do you do with DJ LeMahieu? Like, what happens with him? He's making a lot of money. You know, do you end up just cutting him? Do you end up releasing him? Are you okay with him playing at the other positions, like third base, possibly second base? I mean, if he's able to move to those, we've been speculating a lot about LeMahieu because of the injuries he's been having, that maybe he's probably just better off staying at first. But if he can move to those other spots, you bring in Christian Walker, then maybe, you know, but what do you do with Ben Rice? I feel like Ben Rice, you know, maybe he could get some kind of a chance here. I don't know. I'd like to see a platoon there with LeMahieu and Ben Rice. I mean, we'll see on that. We'll see. But Christian Walker, yeah, if they want to add a first baseman, I think that's a good fit. Good clubhouse guy, gives them a bat. I mean, they need to add some bats here after losing Juan Soto. Good first step, you know, adding Fried to the rotation. You're able to make up for that loss in another way, but I do think they're going to have to add something here for the lineup. I think they're going to have to add a couple of bats. I would love to see them bring in someone like Christian Walker. Could they make a play for Alex Bregman? I know they weren't mentioned, you know, well, hold on, go back to that tweet there. Where did that tweet go? Sorry, I'm thinking of another team. The Yankees are mentioned here for Bregman. Could they make a play there? You know, if you bring in Christian Walker and if you brought in Alex Bregman, I mean, that's some good beef, right? Bringing that in, replacing Juan Soto with two bats and bringing in Max Fried. I think that's pretty good. All right, and fibs if you bring in Tucker. I think the Yankees are doing a good job here at kind of putting tabs all over the place, right? And you got to think from free agents' point of view. Hey, they like that the Yankees, they're ready to throw around some money. If the Yankees are going to be paying guys like Max Fried, giving them an extra year, give them a good amount of money that's not deferred, then I think players out there, free agents out there, they're looking at that and saying, hey, I wouldn't mind being a Yankee. That sounds pretty good. Hey, what kind of money you got for me? I could see that. We'll see. We're kind of running through some other rumors here. I got the good old rumor tracker here on CBS. The Nationals showing some interest in Gleyber Torres. They're looking at him possibly playing third, which could make sense if you're bringing him on like a 1-year deal. You got Brady House that's going to be coming up the pipe soon, so he could be a good stopgap guy. Gleyber, his market is interesting to me. What else we got here? The Rangers did make a run at Max Fried, and the Sacramento A's made a run at Max Fried. I mean, goodness gracious, the Sacramento A's, what is going on? They're going out there and they're looking to make some stuff happen. I mean, I love it. How about that? Actually, speaking of Nick Pivetta with the Mets, there was actually a meeting, according to the New York Post. The Mets have a Wednesday meeting with Nick Pivetta. I can see that. The Phillies showing some interest in Patrick Sandoval. He's going to be a guy that's not going to be pitching in 2025, but he could be an option for 26. The Orioles interested in Dylan Cease. This was another one here today from John Morosi, I believe. The Orioles are among the teams interested in trading for Dylan Cease. I think the Orioles could get something done there. I think they could get something done, right? We talked about maybe the possibility of Mitch Keller as a trade candidate. But Dylan Cease, he would cost a trade, but I think the Orioles would be a great fit. But you got to be thinking here, kind of like the Yankees, right? They made the trade for Soto last offseason. Are they going to make a similar trade again for Kyle Tucker? You're going to be basically doing what you just did last offseason. You brought in Corbin Burns, Scott Boras client. Now they're going to bring in Dylan Cease. I mean, are they going to go with, trading for Scott Boras guys 2 years in a row? I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, on paper, sure, Dylan Cease sounds great. But are they actually going to just be giving up prospects for just 1-year rentals back-to-back years? I don't know. Sounds a little weird to me. We had here the Yankees pursuing Tucker. This was an interesting one. The Reds have checked in on Luis Robert. I think the Reds could be a pretty good fit for Luis Robert. I really do. I think they could also be a good trade partner as well. They got a lot of young position players. You got someone like Noelvi Marte, who's projected to be at third base right now. If you maybe send him back to the White Sox, that could be a long-term option for them at third base. That opens up the infield a little bit in Cincinnati. You could maybe have someone like Spencer Steer slide over to third, whatever it may be, and then you could have Robert just go on the outfield. I would like that. Luis Robert for the Reds. I think that could make some sense, right? Gives him a bit of a bopper if he's healthy, of course. We had here, according to MLB.com, the Blue Jays and the Giants are expected to be the most aggressive teams on Corbin Burns. The Red Sox also in the mix and are preparing to make an offer, according to Mass Live. The Blue Jays reportedly offered Juan Soto north of $700 million. They're just having trouble finding someone to take money. The Blue Jays could use another starter with Chris Bassett beginning to show his age and Kevin Gausman having a down 2024. He's also going to be a free agent soon. We'll see here. We'll see. But everyone, I think I've ran through most of these rumors here. We had another one that the Mets, they would love to try and get rid of that Starling Marte contract. They're willing to, I guess, according to reports, they're okay with trying to pay some of it down. Man, remember when Starling Marte signed with the Mets? Remember how excited Mets fans got over that? And that aged pretty quick. We got this report here. The Rangers mostly settled with the rotation. The Rangers are not pursuing starting pitching outside of Roki Sasaki. Remember, they got Yu Darvish years back. Could they do the same thing? Roki Sasaki. No one saw the Rangers getting Yu Darvish. That one was so crazy. I remember that. How old was I? Was I like, man, I don't remember how old I was. I don't even remember. What year was that? Was that like 2008? 2007? When did Yu Darvish go to the Rangers? It's so long ago. Cubs looking at some relievers on the Brewers. Oh, Jonathan Loaisiga back to the Yankees. I guess the Mets were looking for him, and I there was some random report out there that he was going to go to the Mets on a 3-year deal, but I guess that wasn't true. He went back to the Yankees on a 1-year. We read this one earlier. Bregman unlikely for the Red Sox. Other big names possible. Let's do a quick refresh. Did we have anything else here? Nope, haven't had anything else in the last hour or so. But let's go through some super chats here. We had some super chats coming in. We had a $10 from Sir Silent of the Fogs. $10. You're missing the best offseason move. Talkman to the White Sox. I forgot that one. In all seriousness, a lot of us Cubs fans are nervously awaiting the Kyle Tucker to the Cubs and Cody Bellinger to the Yankees news. Cody Bellinger would definitely be a good option. If they're unable to get Kyle Tucker, I think Cody Bellinger absolutely would make some sense for the Yankees. I like Kyle Tucker for the Cubs a lot. I think Isaac Paredes is a perfect guy to send back for the Astros. A guy under control, be their third baseman after Bregman. Kind of makes me wonder if the Astros are seriously pursuing Kyle Tucker. Are they kind of at the point where they're moving on here from Alex Bregman? If they're wanting if they're wanting Isaac Paredes. I mean, could the days of Alex Bregman with the Astros be done? So that kind of makes me wonder, is it down to the Red Sox, Yankees, and the Tigers for Alex Bregman? Maybe. I don't know. I'm feeling weird about the Astros. We had a $1.99 super chat, but the message got retracted. I don't know what that said, but thank you for the $1.99. Kevin, Astros should take the Cubs package. I think the Cubs are better set up for Kyle Tucker. I would love for the Cubs to sign Kyle Tucker long-term. I would love for him to be open to that. That would be cool, man. I think that would be a great get for the Cubs. They've been, according to reports this offseason, they've been kind of weird with, agents are getting frustrated with the Cubs. They don't want to go out there and spend big. But man, Kyle Tucker would be great. You bring him in, and I mean, come on. Sign him long-term. Man, that'd be great. That'd be great. Isaiah Astros going to use the young guys. I'm starting to get that feeling, right? They did put out something on Twitter today, like of all the, some of the younger players that they have. Kind of makes me think they're ready to move on here. They're ready to move on. Alex Hutchinson, $1.99. Your take on Luis Castillo's price is kind of wild. Luis Castillo's price. What do you mean on that one? Luis Castillo, let's go look up Luis Castillo here. I'm not sure what you mean by that exactly. I don't remember what I said. But looking at the Mariners, right? Again, if you were to kind of line up a Mariners deal, maybe with the Red Sox. Now, you got to remember, with Luis Castillo, he's making a decent amount of money, right around $20 million per year. Here we go. Let's pull up Castillo. Actually, he's going to be on like the second page. Luis Castillo right now, you're looking at around a median $3 million value. Now, the reason his value is this low, G-Mags, what's going on, my friend? The reason you're looking at a value this low, you might be thinking here, like, well, hold on a second. What? Luis Castillo, he's a good pitcher. Well, absolutely he's a good pitcher. Of course he is. There's no doubt about that. He's very solid. But you have to think of the contract. The way trade value works, whether you like it or not, it doesn't have to be exactly this way all the time, but for the most part, this is how front offices look at it. This isn't MLB The Show, ladies and gentlemen. As much as we would like to think of it like that, it's not. By the way, MLB The Show's trade machine is no bueno. It's not good. But this is how usually, for the most part, trades are looked at. You look at the projections of a player. All right, so let me pull up Luis Castillo. Luis Castillo, I believe, is right around a 3 wins above replacement for his projection for next year. Are you able to see? I don't think you can see that. He's right around a 3. They're at a 2.8 for him next year, which actually is a bit of a bump from this past year. He had a 2.3, so they're giving him a little bit more. But let's round that to 3. 8 or 1 win above replacement is worth $8 million. So if you're at a 3, that's worth $24 million. With Luis Castillo, he has an AAV of 21.6. So if he is going to be a 3 wins above replacement this year, let's say 2.5 next year, maybe factor in, maybe even stay around the same, right? Let's say he's a 3 for this year, a 3 for next year. Maybe see a little regression in the final year of the deal. Let's say he's going to be he'll finish off with around an 8 wins above replacement over the next 3 years. Well, 8 times $8 million, that's $64 million of field value. Now, if you look at his remaining money, if he's at a 21.6 AAV, that comes out to right around $65 million. So I'm kind of just doing a rough estimate here. But right there, that's why, because he's making a lot of money. He's making a lot of money. I mean, he's good, but you're not going to get a whole lot back for him because he has the big contract. Sorry, I don't know if you don't like it. What can I tell you? I don't know what to tell you. That's the way it is. If he's not making money, if Luis Castillo is making like $5 million per year, then, oh yeah, his value is through the roof. That's why he was expensive when he was on the Reds. He was younger, the projections were good, but he was barely making any money. That's why he was pricey. Remember how much they got back for him? That's why it took all that much. I think they even overpaid a little bit. They got a lot for him, the Reds. They got a haul back for him. You're not going to get that this time around because the difference is he's making money. So I'm not sure what to say. If you don't like it, well, I don't know what to tell you. That's just the way it is, right? But everyone, Cody, did you get a chance to see my comment? Cody, was that the one that got retracted? I don't know. Like I saw one super chat here that was $1.99, but it said it was retracted. I don't know what to tell you, my friend. I don't know. I'm sorry. But everyone, I'm going to wrap this up here. We're going to get going here. We got another day of the winter meetings tomorrow. If anything happens tonight, I'll be ready. Hopefully nothing else happens. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. G-Mags, I would be all over Luis Castillo for the right price. Yeah, me too. I would like Luis Castillo. I think he's very good. Would love Bryce Miller, but I think Castillo fits better. I would love Bryce Miller too. He fits exactly what the Red Sox would want. A guy with swing and miss, throws a lot of strikes. Yeah, Bryce Miller would be amazing for the Red Sox. But you're going to, unfortunately, the reality of that, because of Tristan Casas's value right now, because it took a hit with all the rib injuries, with the rib injury he had this past year, along with not really a strong history of his of injuries, his value has taken a hit. So the reality is you'd probably have to give Tristan Casas and more right now. If you have a fully healthy Tristan Casas and he has had no issues and this guy's hitting 35, 40 home runs a year, well then, yeah, you could probably just do a 1-for-1 at that point. But right now, because Casas's value has taken a hit, right now you'd have to give more. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of it. That's just the reality, right? But we'll see what ends up happening. But everyone, I'm going to wrap this up here. If you can on the way out, everyone, hit that like button for me. We did hit our goal of 200 for that. We are on our way to 50K, everyone. We're trying to get to 50K by opening day. It's going to be a tough task. Can we somehow get a little over 4,000 subscribers over the next couple of months? I don't know. It's going to be a tall task. I'm hoping we can get to it. If we could hit that 50K, that would be an amazing milestone. But everyone, I'm out of here. If you can on the way out, hit that like button for me. And if anything else happens, I'll come back on. But if not, I'll probably be back here tomorrow. Go have yourself a good rest of your night, everyone. And I'll talk to you next time.